everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook, and I am so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been happening in mine. So you guys, the big move is upon us, and my oldest daughter flew in last night, and she is here to help, not only with the move, but she is my co-host for today's.
I got wrangled in today.
And I am so excited about it.
Let's do it.
She doesn't know all the housewives, you guys, but
yeah, bear with me, but I know enough of what she tells me.
she knows enough.
She's my clip notes.
Yeah, exactly. So well, the move is upon us. Carly flew in last night. My youngest is flying in tomorrow, and then Taylor, my middle one, will be here, and it's going to be a big group effort to, pack and go through all the stuff, and we have a few days to get it done.
All together, at least.
Yeah. So anyway, fingers crossed.
A lot can happen to a house in 10 years. We got a lot to go through.
12. We've been in this house for 12 years. How do you feel about leaving?
I mean, this house, and I love the memories and the times that we've had it.
Well, I think we had so much growth as a family here. It wasn't the house. It was just
pivotal moment of our life.
It was this time frame in our life. Yeah. The house itself has been nothing but
like a beautiful nightmare, but
a beautiful nightmare, but a nightmare.
I'm so grateful to this house, but at the same time, I'm so excited to get you out of this
and hope
situation
and hope that my health really turns around once I get out of this environment. And that is the real, that is the real engine behind us getting out of here. So anyway,
I'll miss this house, but I'm excited for the new chapter.
Me too. So am I. Speaking of new chapters, it's a new one for Ben and Jen. That chapter that we thought was going to be, their final chapter is clearly not.
Didn't work the first time. So
yeah,
didn't work the second either.
I think they just had a lot of unresolved feelings. I think they both had that, that was the one that got away thing, and that was what was supposed to be. And I feel like they I saw somebody say that it was the most expensive exercise in closure ever. And I just thought that was so perfect. Yeah.
It's like they tried to redeem everything that their relationship was.
Or what they thought it was supposed to be.
Or what they thought it was.
Yeah.
And then realized love isn't enough.
Love isn't enough.
It didn't work the first time.
And everything happens in the season that it's meant to happen. Yeah. Like they were meant to be what they were then at that time. And, you don't always need a part two.
I mean, I'm not that surprised. I feel like Ben didn't want in on the spotlight, and that's what Jen's all about. And that can cause a lot of friction in a relationship.
Well, and it's basically the same issue that they had last time.
That repeated itself.
Yeah. It's crazy. On another note, you guys, Phil Donahue died. I know that I know there's probably like half of you that know who Phil Donahue is and half of you that don't, but Phil Donahue was like a staple in afternoon television for years. I mean, he was like Mr. Talk Show. He really set a standard. So when I saw Phil Donahue die, there's certain people in your life, when they like pass, you're like, oh, and especially once you're over 50, you're like, oh gosh, shit. Yeah, exactly. Moving closer to the front of the line. That's basically what it means. You're moving closer to the front of the line.
But he was a legend. We lost a legend.
An absolute legend. So did you see Watch What Happens Live the other night when Jules was on?
I didn't watch it, but I mean,
it was such a great episode.
Like a fun pair.
Yeah, she was. Jules is just great. I mean, she never disappoints, and she was amazing on Watch What Happens.
I really want to read her new book.
I know. I want to read it too. I'll buy it for you. You buy it for me.
Everything We Never Knew.
I know. Yeah. I love it. And Jules is talking about important stuff in that book and sharing experiences of her own. And what's more important than, opening up the conversation,
sharing experiences of her own, but through the lens of a fiction.
Through the lens, but she's been doing press for the book, and she has been opening up about experiences in her life, and it's so important, I think, for people that. Jules always looks so perfect and presents so perfectly, and it's so important for people that are in the spotlight to open up and share things that they went through that were hard, because it's so easy for the rest of the world to look at a celebrity or something and just think that it's all the glitz and all the glamour and everything is as wonderful and rosy as it seems. But everyone's human.
I'm glad she's diving into it and sharing her
exactly.
story.
I love it too. So do you know who Sutton is on Beverly Hills?
Yeah.
Sutton's store is closing. She has a store down on, I think it's Melrose. It's called Sutton's. It's like her flagship store. But I mean, I've never been in there, but I've often wondered, like, I just don't understand how, I don't know how many people walk into that store, but I do know how expensive rent
Melrose,
is
especially
down there.
yeah.
I mean, it's insane. The
Yeah.
fact that, and she always says that on the show they give her like props for keeping a store open. It's not easy to keep a store open, but she's so rich. She's been able to just pay the rent. You know what I
Right,
mean? It doesn't
right,
mean
and not
like,
worry about
and not worry about it
yeah.
because she can always just, I mean, that's like rent, that rent is chump change for her. But even if you have all the money in the world, it is still
Well, you realize something's just a cash cow. It doesn't
just,
make
you're
sense
just
for her.
literally throwing
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
throwing money down the drain.
Yeah.
So apparently, and she is the one that Logan modeled for. She just,
her fashion show.
yeah, she just recently had a fashion show, so that's why.
Logan is my stepsister, and
Yeah.
she is a model and was in the show.
Yeah.
Or yeah, the runway show.
Yeah. Did you hear about Brandi Glanville? Do you know about the Brandi Glanville saga?
The one, remind me, because I know all about Brandy, but
She went on an, you know, she was like big on Bravo. Brandi was all over the place on Bravo. And then they
this
sent
is
her
and Carolyn Manzo.
Caroline Manzo. Yeah,
Yeah.
they sent her to a girls' trip and she had a kerfuffle, not a bad one, but she crossed a line with Caroline, according
Right.
to Caroline.
Caroline
Meanwhile,
flipped out.
Meanwhile, Brandy's saying that's not how it happened at all.
Right.
All the rest of the cast is saying that's not how it happened.
Defended her, right?
They all
Yeah.
defended her. But anyway, the stress from it and the fact that they wouldn't employ her because they're threatened by, you know what I mean, this lawsuit,
Yeah.
Caroline bringing this lawsuit. So Brandy didn't get another job on Bravo and nobody wants to work with her because they think that she's, you know, a troublemaker. Meanwhile, Brandy was only doing what she was hired to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Brandy is a big personality. They knew exactly what they were getting. So basically, Brandy feels like they set her up. And it does feel like they set her up. The stress of it has left her so sick. She has not only not been able to work because no one's hiring her, but she couldn't even physically work because she's just been in such a state. She's been dealing with all this inflammation and
her and
swelling.
Andy had a little thing back and forth too, didn't they?
Well, that's the thing. She just released a video that she's trying to use. She's trying to go after Bravo. And she just released a video that Andy sent her of him and Kate Chastain. And they were clearly at a party or something and just goofing around. And they sent her a FaceTime of a sexual nature. And Andy was just like, hey, Brandy, I'm here with Kate and we're gonna have sex and blah blah blah. We just were not
Just
want you to
making
know
like a
we're
cheeky
gonna be
throwaway
we're gonna be talking
thing.
about you, wishing you were here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. Which clearly, Brandy being Brandy, she knew the intention of it.
Right.
But now,
But with everything going on,
given the situation and the fact that she feels like she has very few cards left to play,
she feels like that's her ammo.
She's pulling this out exactly and weaponizing it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, granted, in today's society, having your boss send you something of that nature
can be touchy.
Yeah. But I mean, we also have to be able to parse the difference. It's not like they work in an accounting firm or a lawyer's office or, I mean, they're Bravo celebrities.
Yeah.
And I mean, Andy may technically be her boss, but come on.
Yeah.
I've seen her behave in more egregious ways to people that she was working with. Like say she's flirting with someone's husband. Isn't that a work environment?
Also a work environment, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe where do you draw the
and
line?
for her to think she didn't cross the line with Caroline and then think Andy did, like nothing really adds up.
No, I know. I mean, either way, it's sad because Brandy, I really do feel badly for her. I really do feel bad for Brandy. She didn't, she deserved Bravo to say, to release, she asked for them to release the tapes to show what really happened. She says it's on tape. I think they owed her that. And I think the fact that, them not doing that is what sent her spiraling. And now she's at this desperate spot.
That's a shitty situation.
So, did you hear that Mauricio has a new girlfriend?
No.
Well, he does. Remember when
Mauricio's moved on?
Yeah, remember our Mauricio experience?
Going to dinner?
Yeah, Carly and I were going to dinner, you guys, and Well, you saw him first, right?
Well, we were going up the escalator and he walked up right behind you, and I think I noticed him first and then you clocked it, but it was a funny moment.
Funny
Yeah.
moment. So he has a new girlfriend. It's the second time he's been seen with the same girl. And
What's her name?
Nikita Khan. Nikita
She's
Khan.
not like a housewife or anything.
No, she's not a housewife. Whoever she is, he's gonna get to hang out with her longer because Buying Beverly Hills just got canceled after 2 seasons.
Sad.
So, I mean, but really.
Sorry, Mauricio.
Sorry, Mauricio. Sheena and Lala are officially filming The Valley. Have you watched The Valley at all?
Haven't watched any of the Valley. I don't really have time
Kristen's
for reality
on it.
TV. Yeah, Kristen.
And the teaser from Salt Lake City is out, and that looks juicy. But honestly, if I hear Heather Gay say timelines, proof, receipts, all that bullshit one more time, coming from her, it's just the fact that it's coming from her. She is such a hypocrite. She came down so hard on Monica, who was the gal that was new last season. She was only there for 1 season. She got fired. She was running like a troll account. And Heather just skewered her for it and made it seem like Monica sat at the right hand of Satan because of it. Meanwhile, the season before, Heather got this outrageous black eye, knew exactly how it happened, but led everyone on for months and months and months and months and pretending like she didn't know what happened.
So she didn't tell people what happened.
No, she didn't. She told people, I don't know, and even went on to insinuate that maybe production did it. Like maybe like she was casting a shadow on everybody. But it was just so strange that she can be so like down the throat of Monica for what she did and justify the fact that she led everybody on. But Monica is gone and they're gonna wish that she wasn't, because she was that good. They just didn't
added a whole new element.
Yes, they just didn't know. They just didn't know how to deal with someone that was as transparent and honest with her because they're not. I mean,
she wasn't playing the theatrics as much.
I feel like almost Salt Lake City is more, I don't know, fake in a way than any of the others. But I feel like Salt Lake City women are very just kind of about the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
Surface
care.
level,
They care so much about appearances. It doesn't. Yeah, whether they're a housewife or not. I think it's almost like part of the Mormon culture to put that facade out there all the time. I think it's like hardwired into them.
That's so when someone comes in trying to break down walls, they all feel threatened.
Right. Or who operates from an authentic place, they can't
They don't even know how to function.
They don't even know how to function. They can't relate to that. Yeah, also in Salt Lake City, there's all kinds of rumors and nastiness about Lisa Barlow and her finances. Apparently she owes big bucks to a bunch of people in Salt Lake City. So, but according to Lisa, she pays her bills and she always has. And we don't know. But we don't know. Yeah. And we will see. And if Monica was there, she'd probably find out.
You're scrolling.
Oh yeah. So Margaret Joseph sat down with Tamara and Teddy on 2 T's, and she let us know that her husband Joe does indeed have cancer. Which is a bummer, but apparently he has, I mean, if you're going to have cancer, he has the kind you want, very, very slow growing cancer, not aggressive. She also spilled the beans on how she knows the truth about Louis, that he did indeed call her son. You know, that was like, you know, when he sent the Bo Dietl thing that during that whole Bo Dietl time. That he absolutely did that. There is no question about it. That Bravo has actually seen the evidence, that Bravo knows that, you know what I mean, that Louis did indeed do that.
They have the receipts.
Yeah, they saw the truth, and that's exactly why Teresa's not coming back, because they now know that Louis is, you know, just so problematic. And why would Bravo want to get
a fraud?
And a fraud. And why would they want to get any further and deeper into bed with somebody?
Their whole
I mean, yeah. It's ridiculous. You know, Louis didn't ruin Teresa. We know that.
She did that to herself.
Teresa did that to herself. Truthfully, Teresa did that to herself, but he did ruin her chances of getting back on the show.
Yeah.
Just because he's just too dastardly. I mean, have you heard about Venivia? His latest company that he was working for is called Venivia, and they are being accused of taking people's paychecks back. People are like, oh, we got paid, and then I went to look in my bank account and it had been reversed.
Shady.
Shady.
Yeah.
And they had a big launch party and all of the vendors weren't paid, but he makes big business moves. He's just a
He
big
just seems
talker.
like a fraud.
He
Yeah.
is. That's exactly what he is. Speaking of Louis and Teresa, they just got back from they were gone for like almost a month. So Teresa's back, you guys, and she is talking. Just yesterday, she went on the All About the Real Housewives podcast with, what are their names? These girls are too much. Roxanne and Chantel from the All About the Real Housewives podcast.
Is that like a fan account podcast?
It's basically a Teresa Stan account. They created the
and
whole.
Teresa goes on it?
Yeah, Teresa goes on it. Not only did Teresa go on it, but so they interviewed her, and then she took the first part of their interview and she used that as her podcast episode because Teresa has a new podcast. Do you know that? It's called Turning the Tables.
Funny.
So remember, she had Namaste Bitches. Do you remember
But
that?
then she ditched that one.
She ditched that lady because she didn't want to share the spotlight, which was the worst mistake she could have ever
And
made.
felt threatened by who was on the podcast with her? What's her name?
Melissa Feaster.
Melissa Feaster.
She was just very threatened by her, but she should have been thanking her left and right because Melissa Feaster was the best thing that could have ever happened to Teresa, at least in the podcasting world, because Melissa anchored that show and she reframed Teresa and she dumbed things down for Teresa and explained them in little bites that Teresa
she could tangible bites she could digest yeah.
and understand. And then if Teresa was going down the wrong path, you know what I mean? Teresa would, the moment you give Teresa an opportunity to speak, she digs herself a hole. And so Teresa would be digging the hole and Melissa could see where the hole was going and she would step in and like
point her in the right direction.
Point her in, yeah. Realign her and send her in a better direction. She was, that's all she did. Like it was just constantly, it was, I every time I listened to an episode, I would just think, thank God for Melissa Feaster, or else she would just, she wouldn't get to the end.
But now she's gone and Teresa has her own.
Well, yeah, well, that whole Namaste Bitches is gone, and now Teresa has her own Turning the Tables. She was on these girls' podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while she was on there, you should have heard her. It was hilarious. Truthfully, I don't think it's going to be long before they turn the page on Turning the Tables because it's number one, bad. And because Teresa is twisted and she just doesn't make sense.
Right.
She really doesn't. Her logic isn't just flawed. It's just like all over the place. It's hard to even follow what she's saying.
And you said she's like recycling content.
Yes, she's recycling content, but like to me, when I listen to it, she's so all over the place that even listening to the nonsense that she spews feels like an assault on your intelligence. And I'm not just saying that.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Truthfully, it really does. It's ridiculous. But aside from all that, she's struggling for content. Like last week, she recycled some of Carlos King's episode, the live show she did with him, and that was on her pod. And this week she's using the part of the interview that these girls did with her. So on the episode, right, it opens up with one of the girls telling her, "You have the best fans." And Teresa goes, "Well, yeah, I mean, like I do have the best fans, but like then when they turn on you, it's like crazy. It's like crazy. I don't know what happened this season. Like I don't know what happened she doesn't know what happened this season.
Like she doesn't dig the hole that she creates.
She doesn't know what happened this season. And also, even if you don't know what happened this season, given the fact that there's all this chatter out there that you're not going to be asked back, and the chatter is heavy, right?
Yeah.
And Andy has made it very clear that there is going to be big changes. And we all know that if Teresa is still in the mix, nothing will change.
Yeah, Andy's trying to break the cycle.
Which to me makes it very obvious that if anyone's going to go, it's going to be the problem child that is keeping everyone in the same dysfunctional pattern, right? I mean, if you like remove the bad seed, everything can grow again.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. So you would think that she would look into it, but she literally sat there and said to those girls, "Yeah, I don't know what happened this season. I don't know what happened."
She's shocked.
Because she's delusional. She's literally delusional. And it doesn't end there. She stammers through the entire interview trying to rewrite history and as per usual, making herself the victim throughout everything. And then she goes on to say, this is my favorite part. She never throws the first punch, that she's a girl's girl. She's a girl's girl. She never hits below the belt, and that she never meant to hurt Jackie, and that she was actually trying to look out for her by bringing up the fact that she heard that her husband was having an affair at his birthday party. She's having an affair or having a birthday party for her husband, and Teresa's there telling everyone that she's heard that he's having an affair. And guess what? She was just looking out for her.
Yeah, she's a girl's girl.
She's a girl's girl, exactly. And then she also goes on to say that her and Jackie are truly friends now, and that she loves Juicy Joe's family. Juicy Joe is her ex-husband. You remember Juicy Joe. She loves his family because they're loyal and no one's jealous. Says the most jealous person on the planet. Yeah. Isn't it unbelievable? So Teresa, I mean, she hasn't changed. She hasn't changed a single bit. She's exactly who she's always been. She doesn't look inward.
Teresa's the most predictable housewife there is.
That's a kind word to call her predictable. Very
She
kind.
is predictable.
But I mean,
amongst many other things.
But she never looks at herself. I've never once heard her even look inward, even slightest, to even consider the fact that she may be part of the problem. And then God forbid anyone says anything about Louis, she's not willing to listen to anything that anyone says about Louis. I mean, at all. The moment someone says something about Louis, honestly, it's just, she'll box you out.
The wall comes up.
Box you out.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know what's going to happen if these housewives checks dry up. Because, I mean, as much as Teresa drives me crazy, we all have a soft spot for those girls. We've all watched them grow up. No one wants to watch the girls go through hard times. Yeah. I have such a soft spot for those girls. I watched one of them just go off to college. This morning I was watching it on a story and it choked me up because it reminded me of you girls, and I know what it's like. You can identify with those moments so much. I absolutely can. But it's gonna be a rough road for them if those checks stop coming through, because Teresa right now, usually they'd be filming already again, but they're not. Right. So now Teresa's doing like beach parties. Come meet Teresa. It's gonna be a rude awakening. It's gonna be a rude awakening. And I'm very curious to know how Teresa is gonna react when she gets the word. If she's gonna turn on Bravo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or if she's gonna try to be gracious. I think she'll try to be gracious, but it won't last long. It'll come out eventually. It will come out eventually. I think Jersey's gonna be fine without her though. I think Jersey is going to flourish without her. I really do. I do. I think removing the shadow of Teresa is going to allow for more growth. Totally. 100%. All right. Well, are you ready? Are you ready to cruise on over to Orange County? The Orange County of it all. So last night, Carly came in, you guys, and she was like flipping around. She had the control in her hand, and I said, no, you don't get to. She was like, what are we gonna? Snatched it out of my hand. Yeah, because I said, no, we're watching Orange County. It's Thursday night, and I have work to do. And she had just agreed to do this with me, you guys. So I said, well, since you're gonna be doing the pod with me tomorrow, you need to watch, so you're up on what's actually happening. So let's get into it. Did you actually watch? You were on your phone a lot. I did. I can multitask. Oh God. We'll see. So the episode opens up. We're still at the respective girls' trip parties. One of them is in Big Bear. One of them is in La Quinta. Where would you have chosen? It depends. But I think La Quinta, it's warm. You could be by the pool, bathing suit, get a tan, drinks. But Big Bear's warm. Well, actually, no, they were in the snow. They were there. So see, it depends. Yeah, I was thinking about right now. So if then we were there, it wouldn't even be that warm. Well, I guess La Quinta. Yeah, they were in the snow. Yeah. I would take either, honestly. I like both places. I know, they're both so beautiful. Yeah. So in La Quinta, Shannon talks about the fact that she often burns herself in the kitchen. And as she's talking about it, she hardly even finishes. Picks up a pan and burns herself again. And she burned herself again. Literally, she's talking about, I got to be really careful because I burned myself so many times. And then with the other hand, burns herself. Ding dong. This morning, speaking of burning myself, my mom curls her hair before we start this, and I'm doing my makeup in the mirror. I walk out of the room, I come back, go back to the mirror, and somehow she had put the curling iron on the floor. I took a step and just planted my foot, well, my toes,
right on the curling iron. Had no idea what was happening. And you
And
said
I
you
felt
were
so bad.
going to tell me.
I know. I didn't think you were coming back in this room so soon. I thought it would be cooled off. Sorry. I'm
It
so
was
sorry.
blazing
I
hot.
mean, can you imagine? That's horrible. The thought
Right on my toes.
I mean, the thought of my kids, nobody likes the thought of their kids getting hurt, and then to know that it was
I've rubbed it in enough. It's okay. It's over.
rude. Okay, so then the ladies sit down for breakfast, and Shannon opens up about Johnny. No, she doesn't call him Johnny J. She opens up about John and the fact that he is suing her, and she really, Shannon, is vulnerable in a way that I've never seen her. Like, she was vulnerable for the first time, really, where you could really see that, like, the
The
shell
walls came down.
yeah,
a
the
little bit.
shell had
Yeah.
been cracked, and you could see that she was really struggling. And the fact that she even articulated that in the way that she did was all new to
And
me.
the girls seemed to really rally around her.
And
when
they
she
did,
that. Yeah.
and they did, and you could even see the transference when she received that and how it moved her, and
Right.
she really was moved by
Yeah.
it, because I think she has always lived in such a defensive space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's always been
Guarded.
guarded. I've got this. This is the way life is supposed to be, and her reality was really rocked. And the truth is, to grow, you do have to be rocked out of
Yeah.
whatever construct you know grew up in to protect yourself. You have to
Break out of the
yeah,
shell.
oftentimes people call it a midlife crisis, but truthfully, a midlife crisis is usually just a midlife awakening, because you realize that, life is short, you're not getting any younger, and that you are, the architect of your own misery, and you have to go through some shit to kind of, wake up out of that. And that's what Shannon's been going through. The universe whispers many times, and it whispered. We all watched it whisper. I got frustrated watching the universe whisper to Shannon and her not pay attention. And then the universe is like, boom, will, like, hit
Yeah.
you when you're not paying
Rock
attention.
you a little bit.
Rock you a little bit, and we saw it rock her a little bit. And then when you don't pay attention and make the adjustment, then the universe will, like, knock you out. And that's and that's how Shannon landed her car into that front yard of that house, because she just wasn't waking up. But I feel like now I say all the time, the universe shakes you up to wake you up. And
Yeah.
she
It seems like she's waking up a little bit.
yeah, well, it does.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful for her. And then back in Big Bear, we learned that Jen's ex-husband, Jen is the new girl. You just saw her last night, I think,
Yeah.
for the first time. She goes out with this guy, Ryan, who was the guy that got in trouble with the whole Dodgers betting scandal.
Yeah.
With the Shohei Ohtani of it all. Is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
I
Seems
think
close enough.
I think that's it. But yeah, so we find out that her ex-husband is now, and has been for the last 3 years, with one of her former good friends. And she is sitting there talking about how she wishes that she had a better co-parenting relationship with him. And she wants to actually now, become friends with that woman again, because she's part of her kid's life.
Right.
And so she wants to be a better co-parent. And I mean, we know that co-parenting is important.
Huge. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the way you and dad co-parented, had you done it differently, our whole lives would be different. I feel like you guys really separated your relationship and basically made it seem to us that you being parents was the most important above everything else. So we still got to have, like, the memories and the holidays, and we didn't feel like a broken family. It just felt like dad had his own house and you had your own house.
Yeah.
And you guys just did it in such a way where we didn't feel like we had that typical norm divorce parent situation.
Well, I remember consciously being so guilty about the divorce and the fact that you guys weren't gonna have us together anymore. I remember thinking they might miss out on growing up with the two of us together, but they're not gonna miss out on the family experience.
Right.
And also, Dad and I had a great time. I mean, we had so much
That
fun
did help
together.
that you guys also, at the end of the day, we're still friends.
We
and cared about each other.
and genuinely had a good time
Yeah.
together. So So spending time together was no hardship at all. It was nothing but a beautiful blessing. And I mean, people used to look at us like we were crazy though, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they used to, I mean,
Well, it wasn't the norm.
it
People
was
couldn't
literally
wrap
the
their heads
number
around
one
it.
question I used to get, like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys do this?
Co-parenting. We're all better for it.
I know. But all this co-parenting talk makes Tamra miss her daughter, who she's been estranged from for years now. And I know people give Tamra such grief anytime she even mentions it, but they can't give her grief about this. She was at a girls' night away with her friends, and the topic of family and kids comes up.
That's naturally gonna
That's
happen.
what is she? Is she supposed to just stifle all of her emotions
No.
about her daughter? Which, I mean, I can't imagine. She must be just so filled with emotion about it that to constantly put a lid on it, put a lid on it, put a lid on it. That's like torture. And back in La Quinta on the pickleball court, Gina and Emily go at it. They go out to play a pickleball game. You love pickleball, don't you?
Yeah, pickleball's fun. I've played it with Dad a couple times.
I've never played pickleball, but Dad and Kathy did get me a pickleball set for my birthday. For my 50th birthday, Dad and I feel like that's like,
I'd like to see you play pickleball. I think it would be fun.
I think it's hilarious that I think that's like the age, that's like the pickleball age. Like everybody, if you're 50 and over, you need to have your own pickleball paddle. That's why Dad.
The rite of passage.
Yeah, exactly. So they're on the pickleball court, and all of these frustrations that have been bottling up come out on the pickleball court, and they end up in a brawl. And Emily tells Gina that her head is totally up Heather's ass. And she believes that. And Gina says it's not up her ass. And I don't really think it's that her head is up her ass. She just doesn't want to, she's just trying to prevent the fallout. She's just trying to keep things calm and copacetic. Yeah. And then Gina tells Emily that that her head is up Tamara's ass, and that she's turned into a mean girl since she's been hanging out with Tamara, or that she's more aggressive. And she says, I'm not more aggressive. I've always been aggressive.
That's who I am.
Back in Big Bear, Alexis tells Katie that she hopes that she can work things out with Heather, because the new girl, Katie, and Heather are in a big brawl. And that's actually why this trip was split up into two groups. Katie, the new girl, says that she has evidence last year. What's wrong with your foot?
No, my foot fell asleep.
Last year, Heather was accused of staging paparazzi pics at Disneyland. And this year, when the new girl came on, she says about those paparazzi pics, I have evidence that she did indeed stage them. And Heather is pissed about it. And so they are at a standoff.
Feuding.
That's where we're at. So Alexis is saying, listen, I really hope that you can work things out with Heather. And Katie says, I hope I can too. So then everybody's about to pack up, about to leave, and then Alexis gets a call from Johnny J.
Good old Johnny
who we
J.
used to know as John Jansen.
Right.
And she is listening, and she starts on with this. What does she say? Oh, the gloves are off. The gloves are off, Bubby. The gloves are off. And then the next thing you know, she's crying. I don't understand. And everyone in the house is like, what in the hell is happening? And she is now laying on the bed talking about how Shannon has crossed the line, and now it's all going to come out. And then she starts crying even harder. And the producer asks her what specifically caused John to get to this point. And she says, I'm not at liberty to discuss what happened. She's not at liberty. She says there's a lot that she knows, that she could ruin Shannon's life, that Shannon has lied,
her now,
and that the truth will prevail. Then the girls all head back to OC. Tamara goes over to Gina's to check out her home renovation. And Emily goes and meets up with the new girl, Katie, at the candy store. And they all swap stories about what happened at their respective girls' nights. Tamara tells Gina that Alexis talks a lot, like a lot, because I wish you could have heard her on the way up to Big Bear. I swear to God, I said, if I was in that car, I would have fucking jumped out. The car could have been moving. I would have just said, that's it. I'm out. It was
too much. Like,
It's torture. She owes those people an apology. She owes them a gift card. She owes them something. It is that bad. Oh my God, you guys, this Johnny J. Oh my God, my Johnny. Oh my God, I didn't even know. Like I told John, I didn't even know that like someone like you existed, because if I knew, but I didn't know because I didn't know.
Sounds exhausting.
Oh my God, and he's such a Christian. He came to my Christian service. I went to his Christian service. Oh my God, you guys, I've never loved someone. It's like nauseating. You would stick your finger down your throat and roll out of the
You
car.
know what she sounds like? HOD.
Stop using my line.
Tell him what
You tell him.
HOD
If
is.
you're gonna use my line, you tell him. She uses all of my lines. Let's talk about that. No, let's talk. High on rhymes with Nick. And
basically it's her version of wit.
yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
But let's talk about the fact that you do hijack all of my expressions.
Your expressions are catchy. We all use them together, and you use some of mine too. We all recycle our own expressions.
I hear your friends saying my expressions
because
all the
they
time.
catch on, and I tell them like HOD might be a thing now. Now you know.
It happens frequently. I'm like, hello. They're just walking around talking. I'm like, are you guys listening?
You always have new ones too, like kitten's new. You call everyone kitten.
Yeah, kitten's new.
Can't keep up with the phrases.
I love a kitten.
Hey, kitten.
Hey, kitten. So we're at the candy store, and Katie is telling Emily about their trip and how at the end of it, Alexis got that call from John threatening to release the videos.
Right.
And Emily says, what videos? What's on that video? And Katie says, this is where we find out for the first time that apparently the videos that everyone's threatening are of Shannon almost running over John's oldest daughter. Now, I don't know if this is like, I'm coming for you, bitch.
Right.
Or if it was accidental or drunken. I don't know the situation, but I mean,
it sounds like we're going to find
any
out.
Version of it is bad, but so it could be worse. I mean, we don't know. We don't know, but we'll see. But Alexa says that these videos could ruin her life.
More threats.
More threats. Then we go to the nail spa with Jen with two N's, and her dude Ryan, this guy I'm telling you about is like such a worm, the Dodgers guy. She's telling him about the trip and how while they were on it, Tamara was trying to get her on OnlyFans, because this is the girl that got evicted from her home because she doesn't.
Right.
And Tamara's just trying to make her financially independent because she doesn't want her to be depending on this guy where no one knows how he makes his money. Yeah. Even he says,
he's questionable.
Yeah, he says, you're not doing OnlyFans. I love you. And like, you're my woman. And then she starts musing to herself, maybe he's on OnlyFans. We all wonder how he makes his money. She says all the time she doesn't know how he makes his money, that she goes, he just plays in the California sun all day. I don't even know how he makes his money. Interesting. And she doesn't care to really ask, I guess, or press the issue.
She probably doesn't want to find out.
Then we see two cars traveling, and we find out that in those two cars is Shannon and Tamara, and they're going for
a big meetup,
for the big face-to-face, which has been brewing for a while now because they haven't sat down. There's been a lot of hard feelings ever since Tamara pulled out of the Tres Amigas thing.
Right.
Even though she had every right to pull out of that Tres Amigas thing. She really did. I mean, it was only the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Tamara arrives first, and when Shannon walks up, there's a tiny bit of small talk. And then Tamara says to her, I really thought that after all of this, you would have been the one to reach out to me. And Shannon says, I'm sick of you defaming me. And then Tamara questions whether or not she's been drinking. And I think at this point, Tamara just really is at the end of her rope with her.
She doesn't have patience.
She doesn't have patience. She said that she was really hoping that after this big accident happened, that would be, her big wake up call. But, things don't always, people don't always heal on a specific timeline like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not that cut and dry.
It sounds like Tamara has a lot of expectations of Shannon too.
And that's the thing. In a situation like that, you have to just check your expectations. Yeah. You truthfully do, and just do nothing but support. It doesn't mean that you need to participate in dysfunction, but you don't need to torture the girl, Then Tamara pushes the alcohol issue even some more, and Shannon goes on to say, I've seen you in plenty of compromising positions. And Tamara says, Have you seen me run my car into a house? And at that moment, Shannon stands up and walks away, which I was actually was
I can't blame her, honestly.
well, truthfully, that's growth for Shannon. I mean, because she's
Yeah.
been known to
She was
throw
walking away from it.
she's thrown shit in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is growth for her. She goes off to the table, and then the producers, where'd she go? Then she throws in a zinger. You know the zingers. She says, "Where'd she go? To get a drink?" Which, I mean,
Low blows.
low blows. Then back in the bathroom, audio picks up Shannon saying, "I know what I did. I don't need Tamara Judge to be the person who decides my punishment," which is true.
Yeah.
That's fucking not her place. Then to camera, Shannon says, "This is a true example of kicking someone when they're down. It's just the low blows. You go for the jugular. You go for the jugular. That's what you do, Tamara Judge. And you're lucky that I'm not stooping to your level, because I could go there." Always the threat with Shannon. Always the threat. Then Shannon returns to the table. Shannon looks at Tamara and says, "I feel like I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole, and it feels like you're just trying to push me down."
Yeah.
And I could relate when she said that. I really could relate to that. It really took me back to 12 years ago, when I remember being in like that exact spot where I was
Doing your best, trying.
and wrestling, knowing that I had an issue, and just kind of just at the beginning stages of coming through it, and just feeling like I was holding
facing
on.
it in a way. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that I think it was you girls. I felt like I was just holding on by my fingernails, and you girls were like putting some pressure on me. And it was that pressure that I remember thinking, gosh, I'm just doing the very best I can. But that it was when I had that moment, it created a real level of clarity with me around my relationship with Papa, because I remember thinking, wait a minute, I used to heap so much judgment on my dad, and put so much pressure on my dad. Maybe my dad was just doing the best that he could. And literally in that moment, it made me realize that if that pressure coming from you guys created that clarity and opening for me to understand my dad on a deeper level, that was one of the first shifts
like a
that
domino effect
happened for me to realize like the interconnectedness of everything and of everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to really allow me, that was like the very first time that I ever really extended any empathy to my dad, instead of just judging him constantly, because I used to be the biggest judge, and just like Shannon, who is the biggest judge, truthfully. But it's only when stuff like that really kind of happens in your own life that you can understand someone else's experience in a way that you couldn't before. So anyway, when Shannon said that, it really set off bells in me. Then Shannon goes on to tell Tamara that she feels like she's received more support from everybody in the last recent period of time, than she ever has. She says, "I feel like I've received more support from everyone recently than I ever have." And Tamara took that personally. Got to understand, because she was fielding Shannon's calls, crying at 2 and 3 in the morning about the first husband, and she was there through a lot of it. So she went through it with Shannon, but
Shannon has a right to feel upset now, because she hasn't been for her in this time of
right.
life.
This is a different season.
Yeah.
This is a different season, a fully different experience.
She really needs someone to show up for her.
Right. And to check the judgment and expectation at the door. Yeah. So Shannon says,
it's also like scorekeeping. 10 years I've been there, I've been doing it, but when it really matters,
exactly. And we all know that scorekeeping is for sports and not relationships. Shannon says, "Tamara, you can try and act all calm tonight, but you were off the rails the other night and all backing up Alexis." And Tamara says, "Oh, about that money thing with John?" And Shannon says, "I don't owe him anything. I never signed a promissory note. I paid for everything the first 2 years of our relationship." Tamara asks her if John's suing her, and she says, yes, he is, and she starts to cry. And then she goes on to say that just today, he turned down their settlement offer, and he said that he's not willing to accept $1 less than the $75,000 that he's asking for. Shannon says that she has no intention of making a monthly payment to
towards
John
it, yeah.
Jansen. And quite frankly, I don't blame her. I think it's so tacky that he's coming back at her for that money. I really do. Tamara says it's a mess. And then she harkens back when Jim Bellino is Jesus Juggs's first husband.
Yeah.
And he ended up suing in 2000, what was it? In 2018, he actually sued Tamara and Shannon for defamation because they were just talking about him because they didn't like him.
Mess that
yes, and it really stressed them out. They really went through it. She says that they trauma bonded over it, that it was an absolute nightmare for them. And so she doesn't want to see Shannon have to go through that. I mean, it's horrible. So Tamara says, listen, I'm really sorry to hear that. And then you can tell she doesn't want her to go through that. And then she says, I'm having a party next Wednesday. I'd really like you and Vicky to show up. And Shannon is shook. She does not expect this at all. And she says, really? And she says, I feel like I want to give you a hug. And she stands up and she walks over.
They hug it out.
And they hug it out. Two hot-headed blondes hugging it out. So we will see.
I mean, for that being one of the first episodes that I've watched in a long time, it was a juicy one.
It was juicy. Well, you should see
almost reeled me back in.
You should see the mid-season trailer. It is very juicy, but a lot of it is surrounding that baseball scandal with Ryan and Jen because they get engaged. That's going to
be fun to get
because they get engaged, and right after they get engaged, all hell breaks loose. Yeah, exactly. So we will see what happens in the OC.
You always have a jingle. I'm just wondering why I sing everything. It's because you always have a jingle.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We will see in the OC.
I know, I'm kidding. We will see what's happening in the OC. Speaking of seeing, let me see this. You guys, look at Carly got a new tattoo. I'm not sure, you
can see it.
She says you can see it.
You can see it.
It's the finest line.
Our whole life, you've always sang us Ain't No Mountain High Enough for as long as I can remember. But my mom signs it with every card. Anytime we're taking off on an airplane, she says it. It's just kind of always been our thing, but she never writes the whole thing out. She abbreviates it to ANMHE. So I have a tattoo for my dad right here. I have one for my sisters right here. And then my mom completed the triangle and I got ANMHE for her. But it's my newest and probably last tattoo for a while. I feel like
Well, how many do you have?
I have 5 now. They're all small though. You know this one.
Tell them about this one.
This one I got for my grandma, who, thank God, is still with us. But we traveled Italy together for a month when I graduated high school. And grandma's had breast cancer since the
1993.
year I was born.
Well, no, it was the year before Dad and I got married, which was 94.
Got it. Okay. So regardless,
it was 93.
She's had breast cancer in some form for 28 years. But at the time when I graduated high school and we were in Italy, she was on remission. And we went up to the top of the Duomo and we were just talking about how grateful we were to have that moment together and that she was healthy. And literally right when we got back, I feel like she got the call that she had stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, that it had metastasized
into her
into
lymphatic
her
system.
No. It here into these bones here and her wait a minute, where's your iliac? Here, right? It spread to her chest plate and her iliac crest.
But it spread because it was in her lymphatic system. Because when she was in remission, they didn't catch that.
Right.
They told her she had, 2 years.
Yeah, max. It was not a good prognosis.
It shook us up a lot.
It shook us.
And we had just come off that trip. And another saying my grandma also always says is do your best, try your best.
Rah, rah, rah.
At the time, I thought I have to get something that'll stick with me forever. And it's like got to be a really big grand thing. Christmas was coming up and I was like, I'm gonna get her a tattoo. And so I got do your best, try your best in Italian because we went to Italy together and it's like 2 of my sweetest moments with her. So I kind of wrapped them all into 2 and now she goes around when I'm with her and she goes, look at what my granddaughter got for me. And she tells everybody. Anyway, yeah, those are all my tattoos. I feel good with them for now. I don't need to get more. You have tattoos? Tell them.
This is my maiden name, Nunes. I have a music note behind my ear.
I always forget that you have that one.
To be honest, I always forget that I have it too. I mean, truthfully, anything that's not in your eyesight.
Oh, and even the ones on my arms, if I'm not looking at them every day, I'm like,
Right.
where's that been?
Sometimes I'll be like getting in the shower and I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about you. I have 3 stars.
Yeah.
I have 3 stars on my back, and then I have that combo piece.
The combo piece. I'll make it short and sweet for you. What was it? How old were you? 18? 19?
Something like 18 or 19.
She wanted a fox with a rose on her left butt cheek. Anyway, a butt cheek tattoo. We're not sure.
No, we're sure.
We're sure. We're not sure why. We're sure. Fox with a rose. Mind you, it didn't come out like a fox with a rose.
No,
my mom hates cats. Well,
Why-
at the time you hated
At the
cats.
time, I hated cats.
Because Grandma Laura had a super weird cat. You got attacked by what, Uncle Jim's cat?
Yeah, I did not have good cat
She
experiences.
didn't have a good relationship with cats. So the tattoo ended up coming out looking
like a cat with a weed.
okay, cat with a weed. So the fox with the rose turned out to be
More like a cat with a weed in its mouth.
and that wasn't happening.
No.
So after
Because
6 months,
I showed my mother and she was like, well, that's what you get for getting a tattoo. You thought you wanted a fox and that's what you get. You don't even like cats. And everyone that saw it was like, oh, you love cats? And I'm like, no, I don't love cats. I've never loved cats.
and no one wants to have to explain their tattoos that much.
Horrible. Horrible. So I decided to get it covered up, right? And then I thought that I would get it covered up with something that my mother could not be upset about. Something that honored her heritage. And her mother, my mom's mom, was from Brazil. And when I went to the tattoo guy and told him I want a cover piece, he showed me some options of things that would definitely cover up that cat with a weed in its mouth. And one of the things was a parrot. A parrot. And because, yeah, it would get lost within the colorful body of the parrot. That was the plan. And it did.
Yeah.
And so I chose the parrot thinking that my mom would be able to wrap her head around that. And I got the parrot. And I tried to sell it to her and she wasn't buying it. She didn't buy any of it. She said, well,
The parrot's iconic in our family now though, so we're happy about the parrot.
Yeah. So
we got the parrot, the 3 stars on the back, the music note behind the ear, and the nudes. Do you want more?
Not now.
Yeah, I think everyone needs to pump the brakes. But Ryan did say, as an homage to your first tattoo, she wants to get a fox with a rose.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know if that was a
Shut
secret.
up.
Yeah.
Hold on. When did
We were just talking about my tattoo the other day, and she's like, I kind of want to get a fox with a rose for mom. I think it would be hilarious.
Oh, I think it's so sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. But we'll see.
We just have to make sure that it looks like a fox in the rose and not a cat
We're gonna
with
see
a
her
weed.
tomorrow, and
Yes, we are going to see her tomorrow, you guys, because like we said at the beginning, we have so much to do. We have so much to do. You know, when you have so much to do that you're at that place
frozen.
where you're frozen because you don't even know where to start and it all just feels so overwhelming. That's kind of where we are right now. I have Carly here. I'll have Taylor here later. Ryan's flying in tomorrow. And then it is just all hands on deck to make this move happen. So on that note, please wish us well. When you see us next, or when you see me next, I'm going to be in the new office, in the new studio.
A little revamp.
Switch it up a little zhuzh,
You'll probably see a couple of these.
Yeah, so we're going to change some stuff out. We're going to switch things up a little bit. But I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. Yes. Also, so happy to have you here. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for
glad
spending
you wrangled me into it.
I told you it wouldn't be bad.
I know.
No. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. We have loved spending this time with you. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you reach out and smash that subscribe button. If you're listening on any of the other streaming platforms, please make sure you give us a follow, give us a 5-star rating. Do you know what you
like, subscribe,
all the things, all the things. If you would like to ask me a question you'd like answered on the pod, or you want to collaborate, you can email me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. And if you want to reach me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking, or on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. All right, everybody, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, honey. Thank you. I love you. All right, everybody. And until we are together again, stay rooted in love, everybody. See you later.